Guten Abend miteinander. Welcome to our first Pillow Song live podcast. Mein Name ist Burrell. Normalerweise sind wir im Käslager in Stanz. The Käslager, where we normally do our programming, is a historic barn in Stanz, Switzerland, which has been transformed into a beautiful music venue. Normalerweise würden wir ganz nah zusammenhocken. But instead of sitting close together in one room, we are here on the World Wide Web. Our mission is still the same. We want to bring people close together with a genuine connection through music. Auch in der jetzigen Situation können wir weiterhin verbunden sein durch Musik. Der heutige Podcast ist hauptsächlich in Englisch. You'll hear some Swiss German, but most of it is in English, and the main language is music. Und ganz in dem Sinn, I want to welcome our host, Sarah Bowman, with her version of Thom Yorke's Fake Plastic Tree.
Fake Chinese rubber plants in the fake plastic earth that she brought from a rubber man in a town full of rubber plants to get rid of itself. It wears her out. It wears her out. It wears her out. It wears her out. She lives with a broken man, a cracked polystyrene man who just crumbles and burns. He used to do surgery for girls in the 80s, but gravity always wins. It wears him out. It wears him out. It wears him out. It wears. She looks like the real thing. She tastes like the real thing. My fake plastic love. But I can't help but feeling I could burst through the ceiling if I could just turn and run. It wears me out. It wears me out. It wears me out. could be who you wanted, if I could be who you wanted, if I could be who you wanted all the time, all the time. The power of song, the power of joining together in song. It's been known to change the world. Meaningful stories set to heartfelt melodies can wake us up, break down barriers, and release messages of positive social change into the world. It starts in rooms like this one, and it can help build a better world and a better future. Tonight's show is literally made up of individual experiences in individual rooms near and far. The recording you just heard was made in my bedroom. Not a lot of cello bow between the bed and the bookcase, but it worked out, and I can't wait to hear how it went for the others when I call them during our program tonight. I'm going to ask you, our listeners, for a show of thumbs from time to time. So, for example, show of thumbs. Who's listening from home right now? And that's, your like button. It's you're going to experience like a 30-second delay, but we will see you. So here we are, making our first at-home version of Pillow Song Portraits. Each month I ask a living songwriter to pick their number one idol to discuss, and we invite them to perform a selection of songs covering their idol and originals that this person has influenced in some way. Tonight, the result is a Thom Yorke tribute featuring local musician Philipe Burrell and Colorado singer-songwriter Kevin Johnston. Everything about tonight's podcast is out of the ordinary. Things got confusing there for a moment while we were planning April's show. Kevin was waiting to find out if he could make it from Denver to Switzerland via Germany as planned, and we at Pillow Song were scrambling in Stans to find out if our venue would keep our stage lights on. Nobody knew the last time we'd all see each other was at the Prince tribute on March 6th. When regulations prevented Kevin's travel and the Gaslager closed, we asked Philipe Burrell to fill in. Both will be with us tonight, alongside many other great musicians who join us for the songbook session in the second half. The songbook session features only songs of Thom Yorke, performed by our usual suspects who frequent the stage at our beloved Gaslager each month. And I suspect this will grow into global possibilities for our upcoming Portraits evenings with you. Tonight, we'll be interviewing guests live during this podcast. Please feel free to participate in the chat. Remember to keep it kind, especially as emotions are high in this time of global quarantine. Thom Yorke is a bit different from our other famous artists that we've featured in that, although he started a career as a frontman in 1985, he didn't truly venture out as a solo artist until The Eraser in 2006, over 20 years later. And his subsequent albums also took time. Tomorrow's Modern Boxes in 2014 and Anima just last year. As an individual, Yorke has released these 3 studio albums, 2 extended plays, 1 soundtrack, 1 compilation album, and 16 singles. Maybe finding time to build his solo career had something to do with the popularity of his band On a Friday. Just kidding. They renamed it based on a Talking Heads tune of the same name, Radiohead. That's the one you know. Transmitter, oh, picking up something good. Hey, Radiohead, the sound of a brand new world. So much irony in those lyrics in the context of what's happening today. I'm kind of hoping for a new era called Podcast Head. It'll be only a few minutes before that takes hold in Europe. But also, the chorus of this Talking Heads tune gives us a pretty good description of what Radiohead's first 2 globally successful albums felt like to us, the listeners. The Bends and OK Computer were also like a brand new world. So, listeners today, show of thumbs, do you remember hearing one or both of those albums for the first time? I certainly do. I was an undergrad in cello performance in Pittsburgh when these albums came out, so I was surrounded by intense music heads. By the time OK Computer hit, I felt the same way listening to it through my speakers as I felt when I was playing Stravinsky's Rite of Spring in the orchestra or something. And now we have Burn the Witch. It was such a powerful experience for me. It matched the live music making experience. So how did he do that? Kevin Johnston takes a look at some of Radiohead's compositional techniques later in his segment, but let's start at the beginning again to get some context. Thom Yorke was born on October 7th, 1968, in Wellingborough, England. Because his dad was a traveling salesman, he moved a lot and turned to music, perhaps for some form of consistency in his life. Thom eventually ended up at an all-boys school in Oxford, where he met guitarist Ed O'Brien, bassist Colin Greenwood, and drummer Phil Selway. Colin's brother Johnny joined the group too, a useful multi-instrumentalist. Thom is the singer and lyricist of the band. So everybody knows the song Creep, a controversial song that could make us feel that we were alternative enough to branch out from our grunge addiction in 1993. Thanks to MTV exposure, among other things, the band was thrust into popularity. Although the album that contained the track, Pablo Honey, wasn't an instant success. Oddly enough, nobody volunteered to contribute that song for tonight's show. I think we're feeling the same way about it that Radiohead eventually did. They don't really play it much anymore, and they haven't for a long time. It has a controversial history because they were forced to share writing credits with the Hollies. Thom was forced to rewrite the first verse and censor a line. Radio stations in England dropped it after declaring it was too depressing. And maybe topping it off was Capitol Records' marketing campaign that had Beavis and Butthead advocating for the song in 1993. So yeah, we also steered clear of it. It took Americans a while to move on from it. Although OK Computer was voted greatest album of all time in the British magazine Q basically right out of the gate. I guess they didn't need Beavis and Butthead anymore. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you're probably not a Gen Xer. So, I asked Google how Radiohead became the biggest band in the world, noting that they hadn't had any number one hits. And Gavin Haynes of New Musical Express, better known as NME Magazine, shed some light with his 2014 article, How Radiohead Became the Beatles of the 21st Century. I had to look up Hampstead Piles, and even though I saw the results, I still don't really know what they are. Is anybody? Show of thumbs? So here's what Gavin wrote. In 1996, while most major British bands were blowing their royalties on cocaine, light aircraft, Patsy Kensit, and Hampstead Piles, Radiohead did something quite different. They spent a big chunk of what they'd earned on building an entirely new studio and filled it with a variety of exotic types of pricey, abstract, and futuristic noise-making devices. At a time when their contemporaries were just whacking the Boss Super Overdrive through the rat pedal and getting on with it, Radiohead was obsessed with chasing a rainbow of sounds no one had ever heard before. It drove them to the edge of madness and built OK Computer. Show your thumbs. Do you get my Stravinsky comparison now? Maybe musician Dave Matthews puts it more clearly in his excerpt for Rolling Stone magazine in 2010. Dave says, quote, "My reaction to Radiohead isn't as simple as jealousy. Jealousy just burns. Radiohead infuriate me. Listening to Radiohead makes me feel like I'm a Salieri to their Mozart. Yorke's lyrics make me want to give up. I could never in my wildest dreams find something as beautiful as they find for a single song, let alone album after album. And every time they raise their finger to the press and the critics and say, 'Nothing we do is for you.' They followed their most critically acclaimed record, OK Computer, with their most radical change, Kid A. It's not that they're indifferent. It's that the strength of character in their music is beyond their control." End quote. It must be more infuriating then when Dave and others read so often in interviews with Thom that this Radiohead song and that Radiohead song all originated with a joke. Normally, for these portraits evenings, I dig up a little bit of background information about each song that's being performed, but I kept coming across the same general story, even in fake plastic trees. It started off as a joke. Thom even says about the concept of album Kid A in an interview with David Fricke, quote, "The idea was loosely based on stuff we were reading about genetically modified food. We got obsessed with the idea of mutation entering the DNA of the human species. One episode was about these teddy bears that mutate and start eating children. It was this running joke, which wasn't really funny. But in our usual way, it addressed a lot of our paranoias and anxieties." End quote. I think paranoia and anxiety are among the words people would use to describe the content of Thom Yorke's writing, illustrated so thoroughly in his dynamic and expressive melodies and the band's sound arrangements all combined together. Yorke, despite his fervent individuality, has influenced so many and has been met with worldwide critical acclaim. Q magazine named Yorke the most powerful British musician in 2002. Radiohead were ranked in Rolling Stone's 100 Greatest Artists of All Time list in 2015. And when Rolling Stone put out the 100 Greatest Singers of All Time in 2008, Thom Yorke was number 66. So he wasn't number one yet again, but he's won tons of Grammys as a member of Radiohead, and the band was just inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame last year. And he's number one in many of our hearts, if not for his music alone, for his efforts to build a better future. Yorke has long been working on building awareness of climate change. He's spoken out against Brexit. He urged the U.S. Congress to increase gun control. He participated in the trade justice movement and has displayed many more acts promising positive change both in his public and his personal life. Yorke was a pioneer in some ways with musical distribution in pay what you want fashion. After Kid A was leaked, he said about this peer-to-peer file sharing, quote, "It encourages enthusiasm for music in a way that the music industry has long forgotten to do. I think anybody sticking two fingers up at the whole thing is wonderful as far as I'm concerned," end quote. I'm leaving out the expletives. I wonder, and feel free to comment in the chat, as we see so many famous artists explaining that their primary income is from ticket sales on tour, and we know that pain acutely at our level, what might result from this time of pandemic for independent artists? Will the playing field be leveled? Will the music industry finally stop with their bullying and effectively loosen their grip on our creativity? Will we finally hear what's really in people's souls at this late hour? Or will we all suffocate under the constant competition for, quote, airtime of major artists who are also putting out music from home right now? I'd love to know your thoughts on that. I think we could conduct a whole podcast based on your observations, predictions, hopes, and or disillusionment regarding this topic. So write to us. You can also email us, info@pillowsong.com, or again, you can use the chat. I'm your host, Sarah Bowman, and you're listening to Pillow Song Portraits, a tribute to Thom Yorke. It's time to go to our first featured guest tonight, Mr. Philipe Burrell from Lucerne, Switzerland. And this is Idiothèque by Thom Yorke, performed by Philipe Burrell.
C'est le bunker. Women and children first, and the children first, and the children, and I laugh until my head comes off. I swallow it until I burst, until I burst, until I sit in a bunker, sit in a bunker. I haven't seen too much, you haven't seen enough, you haven't seen it, and I laugh until my head comes off. Women and children first, and the children first, and the children and let me hear both sides, let me hear both sides. Ice age coming, ice age coming. Throw it on a fire, throw it on a fire, throw it on it now. We're not scaremongering. This is really happening, happening now. We're not scaremongering. This is really happening, happening now. Mobiles quirking, mobiles chirping. Take the money and run, take the money and run, take the money and hear alone. Everything all of the time. 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 Ice age coming, ice age coming. Throw them on a fire, throw them on a fire, throw him on it now. We're not scaremongering. This is really happening, 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 happening.
Philipe is one half of the Lucerne-based electronic band Marygold and member of the band Pretty Little Hate Machine. He's also the composer and performer of music for dance. I want to point out that all the music of Thom Yorke you hear tonight was created for the purposes of this program. In other words, all these guys have been working hard since we decided to go on with the show a couple of weeks ago. So I'm definitely showing my thumbs up, and I want to say thank you to all you guys for all of your thumbs and hearts and smiles. It's really cool. Hi, Philipe.
Hello, Sarah.
Hey, can everybody hear him out there?
I hope so. I just can hear you now.
Okay. Looks good from my side. So I didn't realize until yesterday that you are one of our essential workers. So you still go to work, right? Can you tell us?
Yeah.
All right.
I work as a social worker right now. Mm-hmm. So we still have to go to work here in Switzerland. And the trains are empty, and we try to keep our distance at work, and we don't have any contacts to clients, and no personal contacts. So we just have them on the phone, by mail, and do a lot of paper stuff.
So nobody's actually in the building with you that's normally there, or?
The other people are around too, yeah, but no clients come around.
Okay. Do you find you have to communicate in a whole different way now that you can't touch each other, or?
Yeah, for sure. We have to keep a 2 meters distance, like everybody has to in Switzerland. Yeah. That makes it quite complicated.
Yeah, but we're all going to be better communicators after this whole thing rides out. You know?
Hopefully.
Well,
many people have this utopia that the world would be a better place after Corona. I'm not too sure about that.
Okay. Well, I mean, yeah, it just depends on how you focus on it, I guess. Well, speaking of not being the optimist, you chose Radiohead's happiest song ever written, a song about being in a bunker during the apocalypse. Yay for a finger on the pulse irony. To get an idea of how to discuss Yorke's personality, I found an interview that he did with Thomas Frost of Crack magazine. This was shortly after Scott Walker died, which was just over a year ago. And Frost makes some good observations as he sets up an interview about Yorke's work in 2019. So they were discussing Anima, Suspiria, and his new classical works, which also apparently started off as a joke. So I think this gives us a good look inside. This is what Frost describes. He says, while he speaks of a period of dreadful writer's block and incredible bouts of anxiety over the last 2 years, this new project is Yorke as you want him, living out the darker aspects of the human condition and holding a torch up to the prevailing mood. And I couldn't help but to notice the coincidence. Is it a coincidence that you and Thom Yorke both got involved with dance. You first, actually. That not that you're really dancing, because I can't really picture that, to be honest. But here's my question. As performers, perhaps it's assumed by our public that we're extroverts who love to be surrounded by people and love showing up on different stages all over the place throughout the year. Now, even photos of our concerts that are packed with people, of course they're packed, can give us a shiver. So how has this quarantined music-making experience felt for you? Is this your comfort zone? Are you more of an introvert or an extrovert?
I'm surely more the introvert person. And that's actually the reason why I like to do music for dance pieces. I was always in the background, and the dancers were the performers. So that was quite a comfort zone for me.
Okay. So you're not really a front man?
I think I used to be quite a wild front man, and I really enjoyed it. But when I got older, I actually like to be invisible.
Okay, well, good luck with that, Philipe.
Yeah, try to.
So you're listening to the Pillow Song podcast. This is Portraits, a Thom Yorke tribute. Here is Philipe Burrell performing Yorke's song Lucky, followed by his own work, Rolling Over All the Warning Signs and Making a Fool of Myself. Thanks so much, Philipe.
I'm on a road, I'm on a road this time. I feel my luck could change. Kill me, Sarah, kill me again with love. It's gonna be a glorious day. Pull me out, dear crush. Pull me out the lake, 'cause I'm your superhero. We are standing on the edge. The head of state has called for me by name. I don't have time for him. It's gonna be a glorious day. I feel my luck could change. Pull me out, dear crush. Pull me out the lake, 'cause I'm your superhero. words, and I guess I still do. Comparing all his faces and deciding they're not worth being read. Stumbling around to find the words which could describe. I'm captured by the past, maybe still wanting some of it. In a twilight sleep I wait years and days, clutching at straws, patiently. I chose you as a shelter from my storm. So I can't hide, I chase you. Did I chase you all away? Break the wall, climbs higher, breaking me from you.
Blind trust, I follow my instinct towards making a fool out of me. This blind trust just spins me in circles. Is it what it's supposed to do? Traveling through all your different moods to can read what you're trying to sell me. Maybe I just deny time did change you. That's one thing I do understand. Still you clutch at straws. I chose you as a shelter from my storm. So I can't hide, I chase you. Did I chase you all away? Break on break, incline.
I chose you as a shelter from my storm. So I can't hide, I chase you. Did I chase you all away? Break up, breaking climbs, I chose you as a shelter from my storm. So I can't hide, I chase you.
I'm back with Philipe Burrell on the phone, and we turned him up. We just heard Lucky by Thom Yorke and Rolling Over All the Warning Signs, one of Philipe's own works. Philipe, I think I heard your wife and your daughter on the version of Lucky. It made me think about how much things have changed since we met. But more so, you're making an album right now with your longtime music partner Patrick Zoso after quite a hiatus. I can imagine it's hard to maintain that creative headspace with a small child at home. I know Patrick's in the same boat, so how's it going considering the pandemic? I know Yorke's uneasiness about the effects of climate change were exacerbated by becoming a father. Are you distracted? How do you find time to create?
Find time for anything is actually the question. That was already before the pandemic problem. So actually for me, not really much changed. I've got a three-year-old daughter, so I'm not out often hanging out with friends. Mainly I'm sticking around with my family. So actually it didn't really change too much.
Okay. But it's cool that they were able to participate.
Yeah. It was quite fun. When I was recording the song, she was running around. I was recording it in the living room. So, yeah, she was still awake and just was running around and screaming around. So you heard something from her.
Yeah. We actually had sort of a fiasco right before 8 o'clock, to just like the stress of getting the kids to bed before before we went live. So, but we did it. Congratulations. These tracks are awesome. This is Pillow Song Portraits, a tribute to Thom Yorke. My last question for Philipe is this. You've been dubbed the Thom Yorke of Lucerne. Maybe it's obvious now to our listeners, but do you want to comment on why people are talking about you that way?
Okay, I think a lot of people thought we made similar music to them because we tried to mix electronic music with alternative rock music, and especially when Kid A came out, that was pretty heavy for us, so we were digging Kid A lot in this time. It was something completely new for us, this whole indie-tronic thing, and so yes, they were a big influence for us. We admired them that it wasn't a kind of live DJing. It was really handmade music, and they really made this electronic music by hand, like Party said. So that was amazing for us. So we really tried to do with a lot of looping and synthesizers and beats. We tried to do that also live.
That's cool.
Including guitars, drums, and the piano, and whatever.
Yeah. Well, any performance I've ever seen was really, really top-notch, really great. And I know that one of our musicians tonight told me he was a big fan, Glauco Cataldo. We'll hear him later. So it's really kind of neat how things are really coming together tonight. Now, listeners, you will hear Philipe Burrell's version of Paranoid Android by Radiohead. Thanks so much, Philipe.
That was a biggie.
Yeah.
I really had to work on this song. Yeah.
But the result is awesome.
It's a hard one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks so much,
Thanks
Philipe.
for having me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Please could you stop the noise I try
You're listening to Portraits, a Thom Yorke tribute. Later we will be with our guest, Kevin Johnston. I want to take a moment to say a few things. In Eddie Huffman's book, John Prine, In Spite of Ourselves, an NPR blog is mentioned, asking folks who they think the new Dylan is. Thom Yorke was listed among others. I wish to take a moment to bid farewell to John, who died yesterday after complications related to COVID-19. We have John's family in our thoughts and his hometown as well. I'd love to put together a tribute for the great John Prine in the near future, and I call upon my friends in Nashville to help us out with some ideas. We also lost renowned music producer and Saturday Night Live supervisor Hal Wilner. He will be missed. Please stay safe, everybody. Our next guest, Christian Wineker, is a Lucerne-based guitarist who has performed in countless projects and appeared on countless albums with the music community here. I discovered him when he appeared at our Pillow Song open mic about 1.5 years ago and approached him as immediately as I could to become a member of the new band I was putting together for the Bowmans. That's my musical project with my twin sister, Claire. Hi, Claire. I hope you're there. I think you're there. Claire's tuning in from Colorado. Christian performed with so much heart, I was immediately reminded of my days at the sidewalk scene in New York City's Lower East Side. So, I don't know if I've seen anybody, but show of thumbs, any sidewalk veterans listening tonight. Sidewalk Cafe was the open mic we all used to attend, and that's where we that's where we went to boot camp. Musicians in New York City always seem to have something to say or do that they can't live without pursuing. Christian was like that, playing like his life was on the line. Christian has been my right-hand man in this project, Pillow Song Portraits, since its start. I talked to him today to see if he would join us live, but we ultimately decided to let him enjoy the program from home. Well-deserved, Christian. I know you're listening. Congratulations from all of us for becoming a dad for the first time. Christian's new baby boy is only 5 days old. So let's show some hearts for the happy family. Someday we'll talk distantly face-to-face with you and Tony about the miracle of birth in times like these. But for now, I wish the little family of 3 to simply enjoy the sanctitude of this most precious time. Christian is a local guitar legend, but he's quarantined without an amp, maybe, because he sent me a really cool acoustic performance just using a Zoom mic, just days before the baby's early arrival. The song, A Punch-Up at a Wedding by Radiohead, is from their lengthiest album, Hail to the Thief, released in 2003. This is a B-side track that David Ehrlich at Rolling Stone magazine calls, quote, the closest thing to a diss track that Yorke has ever recorded, written in response to a nasty review of a hometown gig the band played in 2001, end quote. Welcome to the songbook session in Portraits, a tribute to Thom Yorke. Here's Christian Wineker's raw acoustic version of Punch Up at a Wedding with me on cello and backing vocals.
up at the wedding, yeah.
You're listening to Pillow Song Portraits, a tribute to Thom Yorke. From his debut solo album, The Eraser, this is The Clock, performed by Swiss singer-songwriter Sebastian Schwartz.
Der erste Song, den ich covere, gehört zu dem Moment, wo es einige gibt, aber eine spezielle. Ich weiss, als ich zum ersten Mal die Live-Version von The Clock gehört oder gesehen habe auf YouTube. Und das hat unglaublichen Einfluss auf mich gehabt.
Time is running out for us, but you just move the hands upon the clock. You throw coins in a wishing well for us. You just move your hands upon the wall.
I have Sebastian Schwartz on the phone. Thanks for coming back to the show. Sebastian and I used to work to co-host the Portraits predecessor, West Village Wednesdays, where we carried on traditions of the counterculture movement and folk revival in Greenwich Village between the 1940s and 70s. We covered a lot of territory, from Woody Guthrie to Bruce Springsteen even. That's all filmed and documented on the Pillow Song TV YouTube channel, where you'll find performances from Sebi, including Song for the Asking from Simon and Garfunkel. Sebastian has his own project called Into Orleans, and ironically, days before coronavirus changed Switzerland, released his album Crash and Clatter. Ironic because on his website he describes Ein Haus ohne Adresse. Das Projekt Into Orleans ist sowohl verwurzelt, wie es auch wandert. A house with no address, the project Into Orleans is as unrooted as it roams free. Sebi, thanks for joining us.
Oh, thank you.
It's nice to talk to you even though we can't see you face to face. So, enrooted. 1 year ago, you were traveling in the United States, staying briefly with our friend Gregory Alan Isakoff, who's also a songwriter and a horticulturist. And now, a year later, we've arrived at Thom Yorke during quarantine. I imagine that the contrast between recording these songs for tonight, I imagine in your apartment and roaming the great wide open states, is absolutely astounding. How does it feel to reflect on your trip a year later in the context of staying at home now? And what new music might we expect from you after this is all over?
Yeah, so it definitely feels weird being locked inside. Well, just a year ago I was able to roam wherever I pleased in a huge country. But yeah, that's how it is now, and I intend to make the best of it. And luckily I love traveling just as much as I love staying inside and read and write and play music, which is actually all I do right now.
Yeah.
And yeah, so what can you expect musically from me after this is over? I've been writing new material and plan to release an EP maybe next year. Yeah, let's take it easy for a while. As I said, I've just released an album. But yeah, so sound-wise, it will stay in the electric and electronic department with synths and stuff, or I don't know, even go further. But really, the main idea is to go to the absolute limit of what I can do, because to be honest, I'm such a lazy songwriter, and not necessarily when it comes to lyrics, but musically. And often I just write down what comes to my mind, and after 5 or 10 minutes, I leave it be, saying, yeah, that's fine with me. Now, I no longer want that. I no longer want to waste potential and really work and rework these songs until they are strong. So, yeah, it's a bold statement, but we all need goals.
Yeah. So you never feel like reworking a song might get you farther from the start point? You think it always moves you forward?
Oh yeah, definitely. So yeah. So the main goal is just not being lazy, and don't take the first version as the definite one.
Okay. Well, cool. Thanks so much for sharing that, Sebi. It's really great to hear your version. We're gonna move on to your second track. For our listeners, later on, we'll be hearing from guests Kevin Johnston, Alex Karl, and Manuel Isenegger. Here's Thom Yorke's song, The Gloaming, performed by Sebastian Schwartz. You're listening to Pillow Song Portraits, a tribute to Thom Yorke.
Das zweite Cover ist so gesagt nicht nur von Thom Yorke. Es ist
okay, cool. Thank you.
Und ich finde, es ist einer der unterschätztesten Radiohead-Songs, was es gibt. Vor allem die Live-Version auch hier wieder unbedingt mal anschauen. The Gloaming.
Genie let out of the bottle, it is now the witching hour. Genie let out of the bottle, it is now the witching hour. Murderers, you're murderers, we are not the same as you. Genie let out of the bottle, funny with your breathing. When the walls bend, when the walls bend, with your breathing, with your breathing, with your breathing. Down to the other side, they will suck you down to the other side, they will suck you down to the other side, they will suck you down to the other side, to the shadows blue and red, shadows blue and red, your alarm bells, your alarm bells, shadows blue and red, shadows blue and red, your alarm bells, your alarm bells should be ringing, they 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 should be ringing, this is the Bowman.
Hi, my name's Kevin Johnston, aka Bright Silence from Greeley, Colorado. I lived in New York City for 10 years where I met Sarah Bowman. I lived in Denver, Colorado, back in my home state for a few years making music, and then I'm now calling you from Chemnitz, Germany. OK Computer was released in 1997. I was like a DJ at my college. Shh, I'm not that old. I wasn't really into Radiohead at the time, but my friends loved this new crazy album. My parents would say it was like the Sgt. Pepper of their generation, that OK Computer was that for mine. The first track, Airbag, has this awesome Johnny Greenwood guitar riff, and one of my favorite full band rhythm section arrangements has got sleigh bells and big guitars and theremins, which is why I'm going to play it with just an acoustic guitar. The song has some special meaning for me now too. My life was literally saved by an airbag in 2017. But just as Thom says in the lyrics, it's about reincarnation. It's about second chances, or at least I feel like it is. And this time in my life in 2017 was very literally a new start and reincarnation for me. So here is an acoustic version of Airbag. It's worth noting I am in a little wooden hut in a garden in Germany right now.
World War
I'm going to play a song called Nude. The first time I heard this was in 1997, I want to say, on a burned CD. It was a live version of the song with lots of organ, and back then they had been calling it Big Boots. It was always a favorite of mine. They released it 10 years later on the record In Rainbows, which was kind of famously one of the first Pay What You Want internet albums in 2007. It's probably my favorite to date. The studio version of this song has an incredible use of band arrangement and reverb to make this hairpin turn from super epic to really intimate at the climax of the song, and I always thought that was amazing. I actually used that same trick in a song called I Can Feel It, The Lions Are Waiting, which is on my record Time Is New. I also heard an interview with Thom Yorke about lyrics in this song where the words "you paint yourself white and fill up with noise" don't fit rhythmically or with rhyme with the rest of the song, but he said that they were exactly what he wanted to say and thought about changing it so many times, and then was like, no, this is what it's supposed to be, even though it's kind of wrong. That was a really freeing feeling as a creator, just kind of allowing yourself to be free from those confines, what structure maybe you're supposed to do, and ultimately saying, wait, this is my song, I can do whatever I want with this. That's been an inspirational feeling for me, the new record. So here is Nude.
You found it, it's gone. Just when you feel it, you don't. You're gone off the rails. So don't get any
We just heard Kevin Johnston's versions of Airbag and Nude by Thom Yorke. Hi, Kevin.
Hi, Grüezi. Is that right?
Yeah, as close as I can get it, anyway, from one American to another.
No, your Swiss German was very convincing.
Ah, okay.
I'm impressed.
Since I was attempting German, I'll take it as a compliment.
You should. You should.
Okay, so before I play your own song, I Can Feel It, The Lions Are Waiting, from your album Time Is New, I want to mention that as the world has turned to Netflix to distract themselves, the Tiger King has been recommended as widely as Samuel Jackson to Trevor Noah. Yet I have to say it's not the best example or influence on mental health. I know you haven't seen it because we talked before, but we've learned that there are more big cats in captivity than in the wild due to these private breeders, and the lyrics in your song. The lyrics in your song feel like kind of a Joe Exotic revenge song, or more genuinely, sound like a very Colorado-based metaphor where wild animals typically run free. Being from such a beautiful state with open space to allow nature to be nature, what do you think of your current state of captivity? And from your perspective, where you are in Germany, how are you feeling about what's happening in our old neighborhoods of New York City?
Well, thanks for the spoiler on the movie first. Not knowing anything about it.
It's a documentary.
Great. No, I somehow have avoided that little slice of the internet and have not seen anything about that. But that's interesting. Yes, Colorado is big, open, wide spaces. You can see for miles and miles and miles. And I had planned to come over to Europe for a whole tour and everything this spring. And of course, it was all canceled. But then in terms of like where I am now, I'm really lucky. I made it over here to be with my girlfriend and her family before this tour would have started. And then I'm sort of in this like one of those really nice enclosures at the zoo, you know, where it's like you kind of have everything that you need. There's running water and there's a garden. I think the culture of gardening here, their house has a pretty typical garden, and it's like this built-in social distancing nature for grid. It's like you step outside and everyone has their little kind of like socialist garden.
We have those too.
That you're in, right? So it's like this manicured version of the Wild Wild West in a sense. And in a way, it's like this bizarre vacation that I'm on where, you know, because of the virus, none of the things that any of us expected to be happening right now are happening, and instead we're in this sort of cage. I have to say, I know that I'm super lucky to be with loved ones and have food and water, and like I'm not paying rent right now, and that just makes me think of what it was like to live in New York when you and I met at Sidewalk Cafe these many years ago.
Yeah, and I was sleeping on couches. I don't know about you, but I couldn't afford rent.
For sure. And I'm just thinking about like especially as a young musician, every month is like, how do you pay this crazy rent? And knowing that, you know, many of our friends and peers have, some of them have gone on to much more high earnings and making more money and touring the world. And some of them are playing open mics still. And it's kind of like, it doesn't even matter. Like everyone's sort of on the same level there again, in a weird way. And it is this crucial panic. I think when I go outside here in Chemnitz, Deutschland, it's like, I know that it's very easy for me to stay far away from people and still get some sunshine and ride a bike. And thinking about New York, it's like you can't go anywhere without being breathed on by someone.
Yeah, it's really, it could be terrifying. But I know that there's always been, with every blackout, every blizzard, there's always been this extreme sense of solidarity there with so many people from all over the world coming together. So there's that, I think, at least, you know.
Yeah, I feel like I'm kind of a fake New Yorker. I was not there during the big blackout. I was not there during 9/11, and I'm not there now. So I don't know. I have this sort of rose-tinted glasses
Yeah.
experience with New York in a way, but things will come of it. Art will come of it. New ways will come of it. Pillow Song will go on the internet for a while,
Yeah.
and you and I can talk for the first time in years because of this. So.
Yeah, this is cool. Thank you so much for choosing Thom Yorke. It's been such an adventure putting it together. So, listeners, Kevin was our primary special guest, and then you flew on. When did you fly? In March.
So I flew on March 12th. I actually surprised my girlfriend over here for her birthday, which was a huge, crazy thing to orchestrate. It was successful. She was pleasantly surprised. And then it was that day that this whole thing started to crumble. And it was oh, I guess I'm going to definitely be here for a while. And, oh, I guess I'm going to be at your family's home for a while because I can't go to work. I can't do my thing. Yeah. So it was a very, a lot of stress and a lot of planning and everything going up right until that time. And then everything kind of just has faded into this bizarre, I don't know, open plane of uncertainty, I guess.
Do you know when you're going home, or you know anything about that?
Well, we actually signed a lease on an apartment in Leipzig, so hopefully I'll be staying here for a while now and just embracing this as much as I can.
Oh, that's great. So this is Kevin Johnston. He's our special guest tonight. He's from Colorado, and here is his track, I Can Feel It, The Lions Are Waiting, from his album Time Is New.
The lions are waiting, crouched in the grass, eyes fixed and salivating over you. And I can feel it. I can feel it. Pick your bones apart. The bear traps are baited climbing the charts, but they're not satiated with your heart. I can feel it. I can feel it. I can feel it. I can feel it.
Okay, here we go. Welcome back. This is Pillow Song Portraits, a tribute to Thom Yorke. I'm speaking to Alex, Karl, and Manu Isenegger of the Riverstones, and they're going to be talking to us from the top of the Brunig. They're sitting around a campfire right now, so that's pretty appropriate. So the Riverstones are more of a collective than a band, a group of folks from Stans and surrounding areas that have been making music together for some years now, and through that's how we met. So hi you guys. Hi Alex. Are you
Hello.
there? Hi.
Yes.
I'm glad to hear you guys are be able to be together while you're still being able to be careful. So it seems like family comes in all forms. I have two questions. First, can you tell the audience a bit about how your work in the field of music stretches beyond the instruments that you play?
Yes, well, for my part, I'm an audio engineer. I work in Lucerne at the Neubahn. So I, besides playing the drums mainly and a little bit of piano, as you will hear later, I stand behind the desk. And that's what I also do at the Käslager. That's what I love to do there. What I miss really much right now, not being able to do.
Yeah.
But I love what you put together. So this is great to be a part of it in this way.
Well, cool. I mean, we definitely miss you too. For those listening, Alex and Manu are either one or the other behind the sound desk most of the time for our programs there, and they contributed a beautiful track for us. So is Manu there? Can he tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, I'll give him the phone right now, then you can ask him the next question.
Pass it around the campfire. Hi, Manu.
Hey, this is Manuel. Hi, Sarah.
How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. It's really cozy under the stars and next to a campfire.
Oh, that sounds just like sitting in front of a laptop speaking into a microphone. But I'm really happy on both ends. So you want to tell the audience, so the question is how your work in the field of music stretches beyond the instruments that you're playing.
Well, I am an acoustician in a small company in Zurich, and well, it's kind of a really nice job because I have to do with all kinds of sounds and noise, and but more in a theoretical way, and that's what I love about working with Alex. It's creative and it's fun and it's trying out things, and that's what I also like about Käslager. It's I'm also behind the desk at Käslager as well as Alex, as you know. And yeah, it's just in the moment, and yeah, I think that's what I love about the musical part of it.
Great. Now it seems to lend itself really well to being a fan of Thom Yorke. I'll ask the next question, and you guys can decide who's going to answer. I read something by Douglas Markovitz of the Miami New Times in an article called Are Radiohead fans as miserable as their stereotype, and is that a bad thing? He wrote, quote, For many years, being a fan of the English rock band Radiohead meant 3 little words, true love waits. Now, the version that these two have done of True Love Waits is chilling, as it's so light, but it's so heavy at the same time. So my question is this. You were able to put a lot of heart into this. What do you think is driving these emotions right now? What would you say is the hardest part of our current situation?
Well, I guess I'm going to answer part of the question. Dealing with emotions right now is really hard because, well, we're all social creatures and emotions have to be shown and shared, and that's what I love about making music in general, but also about making music with Alex because we've known each other for a long time, and he kind of knows how to push the right buttons and how to get out the feeling. And also, True Love Waits, if you just read the lyrics, it's kind of hard not to be moved by it and not to bring out these emotions.
Yeah, well, I had to check to make sure you guys didn't import a vocal from Thom Yorke himself. I was really, really blown away. So, to our listeners, this is Alex, Karl, and Manuel Isenegger, and they're performing their version of the Thom Yorke song, True Love Waits.
Hey Dave, da ist der Bowman und der Spaceman's Biff. Wir sind umzingelt von Viren. Wir rufen dringend Karma-Polizei. Überall die Viren! Weg mit denen!
Karma police, arrest this man, he talks in math. He buzzes like a fridge, he's like an in-tune radio. Karma police, arrest this girl, her Hitler hairdo is making me feel ill, and we have crashed her party. This is what you'll get. This is what you'll get. This is what you'll get when you mess with us. Karma police, I've given all I can, it's not enough. I've given all I can, but we're still on the payroll. This is what you'll get. This is what you'll get. This is what you'll get when you mess with love. For a minute there, I lost myself. I lost myself. For a minute there, I lost myself. I lost myself. For a minute there, I lost myself. I lost myself. For a minute there, I lost myself. I lost myself. For a minute there, I lost myself. I lost myself. For a minute there, I lost
You've just heard the duo Bob Moon, Diego Balli and Jonas Bättig. Both are living in our new old hometown of Stans. Jonas is a trained classical singer who we first met when he worked with us in the 2013 massive production Brandnacht Stans 1713, which was the first commissioned large work for René and me. We were honored to create a serious work and a large-scale performance commemorating the survival from a fire that burned nearly the whole town 300 years prior. Diego is a celebrated local illustrator. He's performed in quite a few Pillow Song programs, starting back with the West Village Wednesdays and continuing with the new series, Pillow Song Portraits. He refers to himself as der Glückspilz, a lucky guy, because of the joy in his career in illustration. His band is Rieselhilfe. Later on, we'll be hearing from Dillier. Dillier in Vienna, and Glauco Cataldo somewhere in Switzerland. Next, we have some music from Mathias and Jason. Matthias Jurt sent me an updated version of his covers because 8-year-old Elliot was eager to join the fun on the bongos. Maybe earlier you heard my daughter, too. She couldn't get the She couldn't get the tag of fake plastic trees out of her head, or anyone else's for that matter. How does it go? If I could be who you wanted, if I could be who you wanted. It was going on all the time. It was so cute. So I'll let Mathias take it from here.
Hallo Stanz, hallo Welt. Hey, voll cool, dass wir bei diesem Experiment, was das Käslager hier macht, dabei sein. Wir sind der Jason und ich, der Matthias. Und wir haben uns erst etwa vor 3 Monaten im Neubad kennengelernt und haben dann gleich unser Thema gefunden. Wir machen beide Musik, singen und spielen Gitarre. Und da habe ich ihm erzählt von dem Event, das es im Käslager immer gibt, die tollen Übungen. Und ich konnte ein paar Mal schon dabei sein. Und dann hat er gefunden, komm, Radiohead, dann machen wir mit. Und dann ist die Corona-Zeit gekommen, man musste proben und das haben wir dann wie nicht geschafft. Weil er hat Homeschooling, ich habe Homeschooling. Der eine ist mal ein bisschen mehr verkältet oder der andere. Jedenfalls haben wir uns nie treffen und haben es so gemacht, dass ich meinen Take eingespielt habe, ihm geschickt und umgekehrt. Und so haben wir proben und so haben wir es jetzt auch einspielen. Ja, hört es selber.
Bet you think that's pretty clever, don't you, boy? Flying on your motorcycle, watching all the ground beneath you drone. You'd kill yourself for recognition, kill yourself to never ever stop. You've broken another mirror, you're turning into something you are not. Don't leave me high, don't leave me dry, don't leave me high, don't leave me dry. Conversation, you will be the one who cannot talk. All your insides fall to pieces. You just sit there wishing you could still make love. They're the ones who hate you when you think you got a world all says how. They're the ones who spit at you. You will be the one dreaming out. Don't leave me high. Don't leave me dry. Don't leave me high. Don't leave me dry. Best thing that you ever had. Well, it's the best thing that you ever had. The best thing you've had has gone away. So don't leave me high. Don't leave me dry. Don't
job that slowly kills you, bruises that won't heal. You look so tired and unhappy, bring down the government, 'cause they don't speak for us. I'll take the quiet life, and I'll take the carbon monoxide, ignore the alarms and no surprises, no alarms and no surprises, no alarms and no surprises. This is my final fit, my final bellyache with no alarm and no surprises, no alarms and no surprises, no alarms and no surprises, please. Such a pretty house and such a pretty garden, no alarms and no surprises, no alarms and no surprises, no alarms and no surprises, please.
Dillier was a very young man when we first met him at an awards night where our band Famous October and Jule's African project Frère du Son were receiving regional music awards. He has since performed in too many projects and festivals to count, and even helped to create a new festival in his home canton, the Landenberg Unplugged Festival, last year. Hi, Jule.
Hi, Sarah.
How are you doing?
I'm doing quite fine, actually.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Well,
I'm at home, actually.
You're at home?
Yes.
You're not in Vienna?
No. Oh, no. I'm in Vienna. I'm in my home in Vienna.
Oh, you're in your home in Vienna. Okay, yeah. So let's talk about that. So you normally go back and forth between Vienna and Nidwalden.
Exactly. Normally I change monthly between Vienna and Obwalden, but not at the moment. At the moment I just stay in Vienna and look what happens.
Yeah, so maybe you didn't plan to stay in Vienna as long as do you know when you can come back, or are you able to go back and forth at this time?
Yeah, I'm not able to going back and forth. I could go back to Switzerland now, but I think I couldn't return to Vienna, and I thought it's better to stay here and wait. I can work here just fine, and so yeah.
Okay, so Austria is kind of like saying you can get out, but you can't come back. Is that what they're doing? Yeah. Okay. And are you at a stay-at-home situation? What are they calling it? The shelter-in-place kind of situation, or are you allowed to go out and do your shopping and go for walks and things like that?
Yeah, we are able to go out to buy some food and to go for a walk, but not more actually. Yeah. Also, nobody goes to work. All the parks. Vienna has a lot of beautiful parks. They're all closed now, unfortunately. Yeah. And you can just walk around your building and then go home and go in your apartment again. Okay.
Yeah. Well, these are certainly interesting times. What was it like to prepare for this podcast? What was it like to prepare that from this situation you're in?
Well, the good thing about my situation now is that I have a piano in my bedroom. I thank God for that.
That's a pretty big one too. You sent a video clip to our page of you preparing. It looks. Is it a baby grand you have or?
It's a grand piano. It's a grand piano. It belongs to my roommate, but I can use it. And that's also a reason I stayed here, because I have my piano here and I can record with my Zoom, and as long as I have this, I'm just happy.
Yeah, I'm kind of really missing the Steinway at the Gaslager these days, now that you talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you prepared the Radiohead song Tinker, Tailor, Soldier, Sailor, Rich Man, Poor Man, Beggar Man, Thief. Tell us about this song and why you were moved to make your own version of it.
Well, first I chose it just to hear you spelling it, because it's so long. Second, I have to say I'm not a first-minute Radiohead fan. I listened now when I saw it's a portrait series. I listened to a lot of songs of Radiohead, and this one just popped out somehow. I really liked the atmosphere, the big space it opens, and it really catched me, and it was just this one I wanted to play. And also you will hear an instrumental version, because I'm not a singer. And I'm working a lot with the prepared piano, and I like to produce sounds on my piano that are inspired by electric sounds. And from this song, I had a lot of ideas, like which sound I could adapt how on my piano.
Okay, so you're like the antithesis of Radiohead. You're going from electronic back to acoustic.
Yes, exactly. Go the other way.
I like what you said about. I like what you said about how you weren't a first-minute fan, and how you dug into the music of Thom Yorke based on the series. And that's one reason we do this, is because I think it gives people an opportunity to explore an artist and start to appreciate an artist that they otherwise maybe wouldn't have spent as much time. Because I do the same thing, because, I'm playing each choice that each songwriter makes, no matter if I know them or not. And it's been such a cool experience to really broaden my horizons anyway. Do you feel that way with you've participated in so many of our portraits nights. Do you feel that way in general about that experience?
Yeah, absolutely. It's so beautiful to have suddenly have a spotlight on one artist, and you realize sometimes you know it and you know his songs, or some songs, and then you discover new stuff that you didn't know before, and sometimes you didn't ever heard the name before, and then you dig into it, and it's so great music. It's always great music. You great songwriters you choose, so it's always. I mean, it's not me. It used to be with West Village Wednesdays. It used to be that I would choose them and then try to find
a songwriter who was well versed in that songwriter, who would feature them. And then after a while, I was like, you know what? Maybe it should work the other way around. Maybe I should just call my songwriter friends and ask who's influencing you, who's inspiring you. And I think that's working really well. It's just a lot more work for me, but that's okay because it's such
it's a really
reward.
beautiful series.
Oh, thanks, you. I really appreciate that, and I really appreciate that you put together this really, really unique version. To the listeners, this is the Radiohead song, Tinker, Tailor, Soldier, Sailor, Rich Man, Poor Man, Beggar Man, Thief, from a nursery rhyme to climate change, from their album, A Moon-Shaped Pool. Here is Yul Diller's version. To end our program, we have 2 tracks. The first is Analyzed by Thom Yorke from his album The Eraser, performed by Jonas Bättig, who you heard with Bob Moon earlier. And last but not least, local multi-instrumentalist, experimentalist, self-expressionist in the songwriting medium is Glauco Cataldo. We've known Glauco since his early days of entrepreneurship, pushing burned CD copies of his early works at our Pillow Song open mics, and often sticking around for the jam sessions late into the night. He has since built an eclectic musical career with his solo project Blind Boy Davida and his collaboration with Senegalese kora player and singer Tarang Sissosko in the band Sisalabanga. Glauco is delightful and surprising, giving us something new and unexpected at every turn. Before we sign off, I want to thank all of you for joining us on this Pillow Song debut. We're grateful to the community of support we get every week at the Gaaslager under normal circumstances, and the global support we feel from the listeners and fans on our social media pages. Your likes, shares, subscriptions, and interactions with us are a great way to stay connected during this period of physical distancing from our income. It also helps us to bring you quality programming that supports independent artists in this great time of need. Next week, we will be bringing you Black Sea Dahu in lieu of their scheduled live performance with us. Please come back for this shorter edition of the Pillow Song podcast, hosted by Famous October. A very heartfelt thanks goes to all the musicians who contributed to this program. It was awesome. It was exhilarating. I loved it. It was like putting everything in its right place. Special thanks to Adam Drescher at Sweet Spot in California for his tutorial, Sean Sotero in New York City, and Eric Falcone in Basel for their expert radio advice, René Cole Burrell in my dining room for engineering tonight's program, Seji Vosser from Other Music Luzern for troubleshooting tips, Marcus Frummel in Buoks for providing photos, and Michi Leuthold in Edinburgh, Scotland for his artwork. I am your host, Sarah Bowman, and this is Pillow Song Portraits, a tribute to Thom Yorke.
A self-fulfilling prophecy of endless possibility. You're born and raised across the street in algebra, the fences that you cannot climb, the sentences that do not rhyme.
Spark, no light in the dark. It gets you down. It gets you down. You travel far. What have you found? That there's no time.
Like cows in the city, they never look so pretty. Bad power cut and blackout, sleeping like babies. It gets you down. It gets you down. You're just playing a part. You're just playing a part. You're playing a part. Playing a part. That there's no time.
To heaven in a little